Restoring Men in History. We want you men to be a success. So today we're going to take a look at fear of failure, which afflicts some men and holds them back. Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill's book, which we're going to look at an article, not that book. But it said it was one of the biggest reasons men fail, or one of the top reasons. So let's help you succeed if we can, and hope this helps. This is called 10 Steps to Overcome Fear of Failure. Sammy Ramirez, betterup.com. Hope it helps. So what's Sammy say here? Fear of failing, it is a type of anxiety disorder that can manifest itself through thought patterns. Now, we believe in your thoughts. We think you men have to control your thoughts to be a success. We think you've got to have positive thoughts, not negative thoughts. And for me, it is very valuable and has helped success in my life. So with success in my life. Thought patterns and subconscious behaviors such as self-sabotage or procrastination. So ask yourself, have you ever self-sabotaged yourself or procrastinated in your life? And what were the reasons for that? Following signs indicate that you could be dealing with a fear of failure. Do you have a reluctance to try new things? If you're scared to fail, you might feel that challenging projects or others aren't worth it. Now listen, you may be on purpose, which we talk about a lot here. You getting men on purpose and a larger purpose than yourself. If you're on purpose and you're driving and you're spending 80 hours a week in that, maybe you don't have it. But what if you're not on purpose? And then you have this fear of failure. So you're not trying new things. If you're not trying new things, how do you find your purpose? By trying new things, if you haven't found your purpose, we suggest you try new things to help find your purpose. You may not even be very good at it, but by doing it, you may find out what you like, don't like, and want to do with your life. And it may give you a purpose larger than yourself. So we think it's important to try new things. Self-sabotage. If you feel unqualified for an opportunity, you might find ways to sabotage your personal and professional growth. Have you done that? Negative thoughts. When confronted with a challenge, you may engage in negative self-talk. We've talked about this. Don't do limiting self-talk if you can help it. And don't do negative thoughts. I don't think it'll help you get to where you want to go in life. If you got a goal here and you're saying, I can't reach that goal, what do you think that's going to do? If you say, oh, I can't start a business, I don't have enough capital to start a business, or I don't have this, or I'm not tall enough, or I'm not this, or I'm too young, or I'm too old, whatever your limiting self-beliefs are, change them. So say, I'm young, so I've got a lot of energy, so I can do this. Or I'm older, so I've got a lot of wisdom, so I can do this, right? There's a way to change your dialogue in your head that will give you an advantage you need for you being a success. Your perspective counts how you see things. Hey, you're older. Oh, I've got more experience. I can handle this. I've gone through more. I've got resilience. You're younger. Hey, I got tons of energy, right? So your mindset and your thoughts, we believe, are so crucial and important. If you keep telling yourself you can, you might not be able to. You might, but you might not. But if you tell yourself, I can start a new business, how are you going to do that? What's the first step? Well, I got to find the business. You might find the business by trying new things. Then what do you do once you find what you want to do? You've got to create a plan, right? So you can break it into small tasks to be a success. But try self-positive, or whether it's, I want to try jujitsu, but I'm afraid of something. Just go try it if you really want to do jiu-jitsu. Intense anxiety. You may experience ruminating thoughts. Ruminating thoughts we want to avoid in your life. They're probably not going to help you. We want you focused on either today, in the moment, with whom you're with, or the plan you're making. Physical symptoms like sweating, rapid heartbeat, nausea. Have you had those? If you've had any of those, the article's saying you might have this fear of failure. Fear of disappointing others. It can be easy to connect failure with disappointing others. And if you strive to impress others, letting others down can feel like failure. Have you ever felt that? You can be concerned with others and want to make it great for them without fear of failure. Let me give you an example. When I put on the first and second conference and all these guys are coming to the conference, I want to make sure, well, they're my friends and they're important. And since they're important to me, what do I want to do? I want to make sure they're going to have a great time. I want to make sure we have a great location. I want to make sure they have some of the guys like scotch, some of the guys like whiskey, and we got to have cigars. We got to have this and that and that. I got to make them happy for myself to be happy. Right? If they come and they're not happy, so I don't want to disappoint them. But you go forward. So you can have concern with others and not want to disappoint them, but go forward. I didn't cancel the conference. Right? We've had 5. So Indifference toward your career and goals. Have you ever had that? If you lack confidence in your abilities, a fear of failing can cause you to avoid setting ambitious goals. We want you to set goals. We've had a whole video on goal setting, and we think you have to set goals to achieve them. In addition to that, goals can do what for you? If you set stretching goals that you have to stretch on, what will that do? That will make you have to stretch, build new skills, think in different ways, overcome it, which builds what? Resilience, strength, mastery. And we want you guys to build skills and mastery and strength. So we want you setting goals and challenging yourself, not being afraid of failure so you're not trying anything. So set challenging goals and they can build you up. Avoidance of unfamiliar environments, projects, and people. So you want to take a dance class, but you're afraid you'll look like a fool with your girlfriend or whatever. If you want to learn how to swing dance or two-step or whatever it is, or West Coast swing, take the class. Go do it. Try it. You may love it. It may become a passion of yours and an interest. You can take lessons too if you want. Fear of failure can be a self-fulfilling prophecy, 100%. If you have a fixed mindset on the inevitability of failure, you can predict if you think you're going to fail, that will probably hold you back. It becomes more likely the outcome. Automatic negative thoughts can take over. We don't want your mind filled with negative thoughts taking over your brain. I really believe in this. Your thoughts control you. Life is challenging enough that you don't need to be limiting yourself. The world will give you obstacles and external threats. You don't need to create it within here. And it will cause self-doubt, can harm your confidence. We want you to build confidence so you can build your skills. If you do fall short, it feels like your validation of that fear was correct. We don't want you to have that. So she goes into this example, heading to a job interview, and you don't feel qualified to take it on, so you don't prepare for the interview. Let's say that you were going to see an investor, but you didn't think the investor was really going to come in for your business, so you just don't prepare for it. That's sabotage, right? Because you got to prepare for an investor and give him the numbers, why it's going to work, and everything else. So prepare. Don't limit yourself and say you're not going to get it. Or don't say this, I'm not good enough, so I'm not going to get it anyway, so I'm not going to prepare. You got to prepare. And that's another validation technique he talks about. Well, I didn't deserve it anyway. I don't deserve it. Don't say that to yourself. That's again what? A limiting negative belief or a limiting belief. Research published in the Pakistan Journal of Education Research 2022 found that fear of failure in students prevented them from completing even standard tests. So we don't want that for you. It had a harmful impact on these students' even mental health. So you might not even get your goals, and then it might impact your mental health, right? So two bad things coming out of that. Key to breaking the pattern is recognizing your behavior. So do you identify? Do you analyze it? Do you sit down and think, what's holding me back in life? Created by fear of failure becomes so familiar that maintaining it feels, listen, do you have this feeling? It feels safer than working through the cause. It might take time to recognize the signs of fearing failure in yourself. Symptoms can be interwoven with shame, depression, anxiety, low self-esteem. So it makes it hard to identify. Self-awareness is crucial. All right? 10 steps to overcome fear of failure. So you've identified it now. Let's look at how you overcome it. Accept that failure is normal. Now there's also perspective, right? Because the way I see failure is, it will lead you to the right thing. Let's say you hire the right person and you work with the wrong person and that person doesn't do what they say. So you do your part. You make an agreement. You say, I'll do this if you'll do this. That guy doesn't do it. So you can learn from that, right? Never to work with that guy again, or maybe you work with him one more time or whatever you decide, but you've learned that he couldn't be counted on for that. So you can learn from failure. Let's say you fail in a business and it just goes wildly and terribly bad. So what do you learn from that? You've got to pick up skills and grow. And the growth in starting a business will challenge you to learn new things. So you can see failure as not even failure. How many times did Edison try to do the light bulb? A bunch of times, but he finally got it right. So was that really failing each time? I know I used to do phone calls. When I'd call, I'd say I'm one closer call to an appointment. So it's your perspective on things, right? I didn't see every call as a failure. Oh, I didn't get an appointment, that's a failure. I didn't see it that way. I saw it as I'm one closer. So one call closer to an appointment. So you can see it either way you want. Even the most successful people that have experienced failure, the ability to overcome obstacles are key. Accept mistakes is also a key to achieving success. By learning from mistakes, you're a step closer to reaching goals. We want you to learn from your mistakes. If you fail, remind yourself that it's normal. So it's perspective, or you can see it as failure, but you're one step closer. But you can also say, well, I failed at this, but I learned something. So it's really what you take away from it. You start a business, but way I would see it as, well, this business didn't work, but maybe that wasn't the right timing. Maybe it wasn't this. Maybe we didn't have the right team, but we'll do this. And we've learned from not what to do. And you can learn from people who fail too, by talking to them. You don't want to go through what their mistakes were before they ran out of capital. Adopt a beginner's mindset. Adopt means approaching a new challenge with curiosity, intellectual curiosity we have in the groups, and positive thinking rather than fear. So have a curiosity about new things, right? Intellectual curiosity is good. I used to say intellectual curiosity is what makes a good president as well. One of the things that makes a good president. New challenges, positive thinking. We believe in that. You got to write it down. Create self-positive affirmations for yourself and read them if you need to, every day if you need to, or a couple of times a week, however often you need it to have confidence in yourself. I really do believe your mind and thoughts can help you go a long way to success. So looking at every situation, opportunity to learn from failure. We already said that. You must also practice. Sure, you got to practice, right? You want to be a jiu-jitsu master, you got to spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours rolling on the mats. You want to build muscle, you got to go every week for years, right? Or at least a year, right? Okay, talk to someone you trust. If you're feeling stuck, overthinking overthinking can overwhelm you, right? So talk to somebody you trust. Have a good male friend. We say that in a lot of videos. Have a good male friend that you can go to and you can trust, that can see what you're not seeing. He may see something you're not seeing. You can have a mentor, somebody else. Listen to him. Get his feedback. All right, because he can give you a new perspective, right? Tell you also he can build you up, right? We're supposed to edify and build up our friends, right? Mr. Wilson. So you can build that guy and say you can do it. You've got the skills to do it. You're sharp. You're highly intelligent. So if you're building up your friends, and this is a good exercise for you to do for others, because we're about others, right? So you can build up others and tell them they can do it and increase their confidence by you talking to them, because it's not all about you, right? We're supposed to build up others and edify them. All right, when you're worried about a situation, you can fixate on the negative or the positive. What are you going to focus on? You want to identify what can go wrong, but then you want to focus on the positive. Counter ruminating thoughts with the fact that your efforts can produce better results than you anticipate. Yeah, that's another way to see it, right? What you do can affect it positively. So you can get over here and start thinking this can go wrong, this can go wrong, but if you do this, this could go very well, right? Visualize. We think visualization works well too. A situation in which you succeed. That'll give you a big why too, right? If you see, if I succeed, we'll be able to impact this many men and help this many men. That gives you a why to overcome obstacles, and I think a good why really helps. Why are you doing it? That's why you face pain. That's why you face obstacles, because it's not for you, it's for somebody else. It's for those guys, right? If you want to have an impact and make a difference in people's lives, that's a big why, because you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for them, so you're kind of letting them down, right? Challenges. A big project might lead to new industry connections and deepen a relationship with your boss, so there can be benefits. I remember at the startup events in LA, I was going to a lot of the startup events, and they said a lot of times it's about the team. The idea will fail, but we like the team, so we'll back them in something else. And what did those guys learn probably when they did that startup? You were going to learn a lot, right? So you're going to make mistakes, and then they had an opportunity to start another one because the venture capitalists like the team. So those guys learned something by failure. Making decisions based on a failure can come at a cost. You could miss out on some great life opportunities. You could miss out on meeting the girl of your dreams if you don't go to that dance class I earlier talked about, right? Or you could not be prepared for protecting your girl if you didn't take the jiu-jitsu class. I don't know what it's going to be. Or failure to start that business, which was your true interest. Or writing that novel that you always wanted to write, or making that film. I don't know what it is. I don't know what your goals are. Having a family, I don't know what it is. Getting home by 5 o'clock. I have dinner. One guy that I met said I wanted a job that I could get home by 5 o'clock every day. So I don't know what your goal is. A failure that you learn from often feels better in the long run than dealing with the regret of not trying anything. You don't want regrets in life, right? So we want you trying things. So 30 years from now, you don't look back and say, I wish I'd tried that. I wish I'd tried that. I wish I'd tried this. Do you have any regrets already? It's okay. You can go forward now. Try things because you may regret it one day. Maintain a flexible mindset. If you approach an opportunity to learn new skills with a fixed mindset, you might be quick to give up when you encounter a roadblock. So have a growth mindset, right? Well, the way I look at it, things, am I going to learn and grow something from this? Which makes it not a failure, right? Because you're not always going to deal with people that do what you say. So you may get involved with something that somebody else wants you involved with that you don't really want to do, but you do it to help them and they don't come through anyway. And it's for them, actually. That has happened. But what do you learn from that? How do you grow from it? So see it as a growth. If you see, I like to learn and grow. So if you see everything as a growth opportunity, you won't really see it as failure. You say, well, that wasn't a failure because I got this out of it and I learned this. So as long as you're willing to adapt, you're never stuck in a decision. You can change, right? You can decide to try something and stop if you don't like it. But if you don't try it, you won't know if you don't like it. You won't know if you like it. Be afraid, but do it anyway. Your fear of failure may never go away, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you have to let it control your choices. Courage means doing it in spite of fear, right? Be courageous. All right. Risk averse. I think risk taking is important. It's up to you, but a fear of failure can make you risk averse. Every risk you take may feel like the potential for failure is too big to pursue it. However, the greater risk, the greater reward, right? That's the old adage, and I think it's very true. If you stay safe and consistent, how are you going to get here if you want to be here? And how are you going to learn and grow as well if you're never taking chances and you're never taking risk? Here's a good point. We say break down large goals into small ones, right? So in that business example, you want to start a business. Well, what do you got to do first? You got to find the business you want to be in. Find what excites you and what interests you, what you're passionate about. Then write a business plan out for it and then go get the money or start it on a shoestring and do it yourself. But there's going to be steps along the way, right? All right, get comfortable with rejection. Every time you put yourself out there, you might fear rejection, sure. All right, let's keep going. Again, approach everything with a growth mindset and that'll help you try new things. If you attempt new things or visit new places often, you can grow more comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? The more things you try and the more things you do that you're uncomfortable with, you will get more comfortable with them. So if you're uncomfortable taking dance lessons, but you try it, by the fifth or sixth lesson, you'll be less comfortable with it, or you'll be less comfortable to try something else. If you want to go shooting to become an expert at, rifles or whatever. So you'll learn something new and gain practice. The discomfort is unpleasant, but you can also be a sign that you're expanding. Okay. Conquering fear of failure at work. A failure at work can be scary. Identify the benefits of past failures. What'd you learn from the past failures? Many negative experiences have hidden benefits. So you may not know what you've learned from past failures, so go back and look at them. What'd you learn from when you tried something at work for your boss or something? Maybe you gained a new relationship, right? Or maybe you gained a new skill, even though you failed at it. Also, when you're looking back at past failures, don't forget to go into successes and look at your successes. In fact, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling badly about yourself, go right now or after this video and write down some of your successes in life and allow that to build your confidence. Build a little thing and put all the successes you've had in life underneath it. And then remind yourself of that and look at it often every time you're in doubt. Say, well, I already did this, this, and this, so I can do this. Just write it down. Okay, when there's a high risk of failure, see it as a challenge. See it as a growth opportunity. Stepping out of your comfort zone is hard work. It might be stressful, but not all stress is bad. That's true. What causes fear of failure? Unpleasant past experiences. So that could be growing up. That could be your parents. I don't know what it is, but it could be a lot of different things. It might be more than one cause. They might be combined. So go through it. Don't allow perfectionism to get in your way. It's because perfectionism could make it impossible for you even to start the test. I've seen that as well. I've seen people that have said they're going to do something for years and they haven't started because they're afraid of failing. And they're kind of a perfectionist. So you don't want to allow perfectionism to hold you back. You might feel overwhelmed by the standards set by others and fear that you may fail to meet those expectations. You got to go on anyway. You might not work toward promotions. You'll likely work around disappointing others, low self-esteem. All right, let's keep going. All right, let's end with this. The next time you feel fear of failure, ask yourself these questions. What am I really afraid of? Write it down. Writing down can help. And it's probably not as bad as you think, right? And ask yourself this: who am I fighting for and what am I fighting for? Number two. If you have a big why, I guarantee you, at least I can, you can go through a lot more and handle a lot more obstacles, problems, and pain. If you have a big why you're doing it, that's why I say purpose larger than yourself. If you're doing it for others, you can go through a lot more, I think. Right? So who am I fighting for? I know what we're doing here. Your fear can stop you from having impact and making a difference in other people's lives, and you don't want that, right? You don't want your fear of failure to impact others in a negative way because you didn't do your goal, you didn't have your impact, you didn't reach your potential, you didn't do what you're supposed to do in life. What's the best thing that can happen? Instead of thinking about the worst thing possible, what is the best thing that can happen? You could have a major impact on people. You could impact men. I don't know what your goals are. Whatever your goal is, you could impact life. You could impact the world. I don't know what it is. Politics. Whatever it is, you could have an impact and make a difference. So reframe your thinking to success. Instead of saying this bad can happen, say, hey, we could have an impact. We could make a difference. Then imagine yourself accomplishing that. 4, how will I recover if I fail? Look, see it this way. If you're going to fail, you're going to grow from it. And there's really isn't, if you have the right perspective, that there's really no failure, that you're going to grow. All right, so those are some things. Have a big why. Know that if you think about the positive and the best things that can happen, it's a good mindset. Control your thoughts. Thanks.